G'day everyone, welcome to another live hangout here at Voice Essentials. I'm glad I started today's show the right way. I've been accidentally starting it off with introducing the vocal analysis, which I pre-record. Anyway, it's a live hangout here. Hello to all of you. We've got a few people who are watching live. It's good to have you join us today. We're doing a mini topic, a very interesting mini topic. Well, certainly I find it interesting, and I'm hoping it will prove to be beneficial to you also. But before we get started, I wanted to say a very special Happy Father's Day for yesterday for everyone in Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and Papua New Guinea. And I take it on very good authority, the authority being Linda, who is our wonderful moderator in the live chat, that actually it's only celebrated in the first weekend of September, the first Sunday of September, in those 4 countries, Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and Papua New Guinea. 70 other countries who celebrate Father's Day do so back in June. Anyway, so if you are local to me, I'm in Brisbane, Australia, then happy Father's Day. I hope that was a good day for you. I know it can be, these sorts of celebratory days can be somewhat challenging for people, and so I hope you're able to have a positive day. I had a good day. We have a big land mass sort of island just off the coast of Brisbane called Stradbroke Island is its western name. To my shame, I don't know what is it. I forget the name, the indigenous name, and I apologise for that. Anywho, we just refer to it as Straddy, and I've never been there before. I've lived in Brisbane since 1992, and I just never had the opportunity nor the reason to go. All of my children have been. They go for school excursions. My wife used to, back in her childhood, she would holiday there. She hadn't been there since the late 90s, I think, but I just never had the opportunity to go. It's kind of like a beach tourism kind of space. There's a little bit of mining done on this particular island, but a lot of surfing and a lot of fishing. You kind of pick up the vibe, right? And it's beautiful. It's a lovely place to visit. I'm so glad I get to tick that box now. And I'm so glad I went. It's about a 45-minute ferry ride across. And that was my Father's Day, I guess, gift. And just so great to spend a whole day with my 3 children, who are all, getting to an age where they're off doing life, doing other things. So just whenever we have them together as one, it's just really nice. Anyway, so we did that, and it was great. It was very, when you're out and you're amongst the salt water, the salt air, and you just, I don't know, it's quite invigorating and quite refreshing. It's good for the soul, good for the heart, and I came back feeling really quite good. It's one of those things where you go, why don't we do that more often? Well, I guess it comes down to time, money. It wasn't cheap to go across. The ferry ride is not cheap, but certainly I'd like to do it again. Hopefully I won't leave it another 50 years before I get to do it again. We are going to do a mini topic today, after which we will do some Q&A. If we have time, all things being equal, we will have some time. So make sure you throw your questions in so that Linda can grab them and put them into the Word document. And as long as Daniel remembers to read the right page of that Word document, we'll be able to answer a couple of questions at the end of today's show. Next week will be a Q&A, just giving you a heads up as to what we're doing. Next week will be a Q&A. So that'll be a whole live hangout devoted to your questions and my answers, after which there will be a 1 week break because I'm on studio break that week. Then we come back for another Q&A. So just giving you some insight into what's happening as we move ahead. And can I also just say hi to everyone listening to today's show as a replay. I sometimes forget to say good day to all of you, but I do want you to know that I very much appreciate you chiming in and listening to the show in replay, which actually the majority of you, that's how you consume the content. Let's get into today's mini topic, and I'm very much hoping this will be a mini topic that really speaks to many of you, and I hadn't given any clues away this time as to what that would be, but I want to talk. This is a really interesting topic because it's a topic that comes up so often with my private students, and occasionally it's a topic that gets questioned in the comments section of some of my videos, and that is like the preparation for that very first gig. How do you get ready? Like, you've never sung publicly before. For many, it feels like a massive step to go from an audience member to suddenly finding yourself facing the other direction, looking back at the audience, and then singing. So I want to talk through those things that are going to help us prepare to take that step. Some of you watching have already taken that step, and some of you watching are well seasoned in the process of public performance. Certainly throw your comments into the live chat if you're watching this live. Throw your comments into the comments section of the replay video, and help people out as we go along. Leave your suggestions. I by no means have all the experience in the world and of all the knowledge in the world. I really want this to be a community that generates thought and ideas and encouragement together. So make sure you do that as we're talking along. Let me jump over here. And the first thing that we need to think about when it comes to that first public gig is how do you know you're ready? And as I'm saying that, I'm hearing thunder overhead. So I hope that doesn't get through. But if you hear a clap of thunder, a lightning strike, it's because we've got thunderstorms locally. How do you know that you're ready? And that's often the biggest thing. Well, in one sense, you're kind of never going to feel 100% ready. If you're waiting for that moment where it's, all the stars are going to align and you're going to see rainbows and unicorns, it's unlikely that moment will happen for you. There is always going to be this sense in which you're having to step off into the nether. You have to, take that leap of faith, or in this case, stepping onto the stage when you may not feel, oh, is this going to work? Let's have a look at a couple of things here. And that is, we want to talk about, first of all, are you consistently practicing and do you consistently rehearse? One of the number one things that will set you up for really high levels of performance anxiety, and let's be real, it's the nerves that's often the challenge that we're facing. Yeah, I feel so nervous and anxious about stepping onto stage and singing for people. What you want to ensure is that you're well prepared as you possibly can be, without or, only preparing and never actually stepping up to do it. So that's got to come from consistent practice and consistent rehearsal, and be intentional about that. No, don't set yourself up for failure by going, okay, I've decided I'm going to do my first public gig and I'm going to do it tomorrow. That may not be. Why don't you set it for yourself, let's say in 3 months' time? Could even be less, 2 months' time. So you're giving yourself enough lead time to start to build some consistent practice so that the material you're starting to get ready is going to be fully prepared. The second thing that you want to know is for you to know that you're ready is that you're getting consistently positive feedback from trusted sources. And when I say trusted sources, I'm referring to people who will be honest with you. Now, that's not to say that you need them to be honest with you to tell you that you're amazing and that you'll be the best thing since sliced bread. It's people who are prepared to be honest with you and give you really good feedback as to where you are right now. None of us are going to step up, do our first public gig, and be a revelation to the world because we're so amazing. All of us who already regularly perform can look back on our first, if we can remember our first public performance, and go, that definitely was not my best ever performance. Because we all grow, we develop, we mature, we improve, but we do want to know that we're ready, and often that so that we don't get up and make an absolute dog's breakfast of it, because we want our first step onto stage. We don't want it to be perfect. We don't need it to be perfect. We simply want it to be a scenario in which you can step off stage and feel a sense of satisfaction that what you did was the best you could do in that moment in time. And so gaining that positive feedback from trusted sources in the lead up to that, and that might come from someone like your singing teacher. It might come from a parent. It might come from a loved one, a bestie, someone who is going to give you with, they're not going to be nasty, but they're not going to be, telling you something that ain't the case. The other thing too is you want to have been probably doing this singing thing for long enough that you're starting to build up a collection of songs for yourself that really fit you. And that takes time. That's part of the fun of karaoke is often, and let's class karaoke as fun. For some people, it's a very serious thing, particularly in Asian cultures. The Asian cultures love their karaoke and can get very serious. I'm talking about more of a girls' night out and having a good old sing on, karaoke. One of the fun things about karaoke in those scenarios is the fact that people find themselves singing songs that their voice just wasn't really up for. In part, it might have been the wrong key. It might have been sitting outside of their range scope. It takes time to identify the songs that really fit you, and because not every song is going to fit you. So go in search of those songs. You want it, actually, I probably should have started with this point, because this needs to be what you do as a part of that consistent practice and rehearsal, finding those songs that really, really, have this synergetic connection with you and your voice and you as a person. Because not every message that of a lyric is going to fit you either. And so you want to make sure that you can, deliver the lyric content and believe in it. Okay. The second thing is we do need to talk to the stage fright, the nerves, because what we don't want to do is downplay them. Nerves are real. Performance anxiety is a real thing, and the studies, the research around performance anxiety, it certainly doesn't suggest that 100% of people will feel nervous, despite the fact that I reckon 100% of people feel nervous. The research doesn't tell us that. The research tells us that it's around about 80% of people will really feel, a heightened sense of nerve and performance anxiety in the lead up to their first performance. Into performance in general. So maybe I could be bold enough to say that every person for their first performance, public performance, is going to feel nervous. Certainly, anecdotally, that's what we can say. And the thing about nerves is, don't try to ignore them. Acknowledge them. See them. Expect them. It's when we try to kind of put them to the side, not think about being nervous, that they'll rush up on us and surprise us or, scare us, because suddenly we get to the point of, oh, I'm nervous, what do I do? So do things to prepare. There's a whole video that I've got on the channel, quite an old one, I think, about workshopping through nerves and how to manage them. But you can do simple things like, for me, what I know for my performance anxiety is I have a memory loss. Suddenly all of the lyrics I don't know where they go, but they're lost to me. And so what I always do is I always have a printed, not on my phone, although that's a handy feature to have now, isn't it? But I always have them printed on paper with me, just in a book, display folder. The lyrics so that when, not if, for me, it's when my brain goes blank immediately before I'm about to step on stage, I can simply open the book, look at the song, read the lyric, and go, that's right, that's what the lyrics are. And so it doesn't permit my performance anxiety to escalate. Another de-escalation strategy is breath management. And in fact, you can use exercise 12 within Voice Essentials 1 as a really effective strategy for de-escalating the adrenaline output as performance anxiety hits. And so if you don't already have Voice Essentials 1, I encourage you to go check it out. The links are in the description section of this video. Go and check out that exercise, because it's really handy. It's a breath management activity. The first thing to go with nerves is breath. Like suddenly your breath will like your ability to manage breath will disappear. The first thing to interrupt that is breath. So getting back to establishing that even flow of breath. These are all skills that we know we need to learn to manage so that we can really keep on top of that stage fright. We talked about the importance of the song selection, making sure that you are rehearsing. The key thing that is going to escalate performance anxiety is a lack of preparation. I know for me, it definitely is. There have been, I can think of them, one sticking out to me right now in my mind, that there are The times when I have really experienced significantly heightened performance anxiety have been because I know, more so in reflection, that I just wasn't well prepared. I hadn't dedicated the time, the effort to prepare and know my songs, my lyrics, being around the pitch and the rhythm and all of these things that go towards that performance. The third thing is start to think about your performance as being more than just the songs, more than just the pitch, more than just remembering the words. The performance is so much more. Your audience make a decision about you and how they feel about, or what they think they're going to anticipate experiencing, visually first. So before you've opened your mouth to start singing, they're going to make an assessment of you. We are visual creatures, us human beings, and we are very visually orientated. And so we make a decision visually. That's why TV talent shows like The Voice work so well, because certainly, and this is the very clever thing about The Voice, they really sell it on the idea that the judges have got their chairs turned and the judges are not seeing the performer. Remembering the judges are not making decisions about who does or doesn't get selected. That's being made by a producer sitting in the production room who has already seen them and can see them, and we are seeing them. Yeah, we're making a decision based on what we see. If it was truly a show about just the audio value of The Voice, we wouldn't be permitted to see them either. But of course we do, and that's why we have all the typecasting, the seemingly, folky girl, the overweight guy, the person in a wheelchair. All of these typesets are set up because we see it visually and we create an expectation. When we then reflect that knowledge to ourselves, it's then really important, what am I wearing? What am I trying to communicate about what I'm about to sing? If you walk out in a baseball cap, high tops and I don't know, a hoodie, people would be well justified in thinking they're about to hear Eminem. So if you start singing something completely, I don't know, jazz, the picture and the sound, that won't marry. And so suddenly there's this, it can throw people off. Now, I acknowledge you can actually use that as a tool, but you'd be making really intentional choices about that. And it's probably not the best thing to do as your first ever performance. So think about, what am I going to wear? And I would go as far as practice a couple of times in those clothes, including the shoes, and see how you feel. Does it feel comfortable? Do I feel okay in these raised heels that I'm in, ladies? Do I feel comfortable in the shirt, or is it for some reason restricting my arm movement that I feel I naturally want to do? These are all really important factors for you to consider. Then think about your facial expressions. Remember, your face, particularly your eyes, but your face is going to communicate something. We certainly hope it's going to communicate something. People are going to be looking at your face. Don't be surprised by that. That's how we read everyone. Right now, it's likely, if you're not reading the slide next to me, you're looking at my face. You're looking at my eyes. You want to know that what I'm displaying, like if I'm just here talking to screen and You can even hear how that affects my voice. Immediately, the moment I go deadpan, I really struggle to build emotion into what I'm saying because I'm maintaining this deadpan look. So make sure that your face is communicating exactly the heart, the intent of what you're trying to say. Remember, these are all things that we're remembering for our first ever public performance. Make sure that anything you do physically has reason. We talk about this as being a sense of connection. Yeah. So let me just come back to this picture. So we always talk, my wife and I, who's a high school drama teacher, if we see, a performer and you kind of get this unmotivated movement that has no reason for being there. And let me come back to the slide. If we have these senses of unmotivated movement, it creates a disconnect between what you're singing, the lyric, and your audience. If you can't think of a reason, if there's no sense of motivation to move, then don't. Something I often do when I'm masterclassing singers is I often will put them on a mic stand to start, because what I want to do is center them. I want to bring any unnecessary movement of arms and legs and who knows what else and center them. It's interesting, and this is something you can practice yourself. It's interesting to feel how different that is as the performer to not move. It actually is quite a strong position on stage. And particularly if all you are doing is one song, then using that tactic of just having a mic stand and just standing there and singing with a mic stand, it can be really effective and really produce a very strong performance. You wouldn't want to do a whole gig of 45, 50 minutes. You wouldn't want to do a whole show of that, but certainly for your first gig, your first song, that might be something for you, somewhere for you to start. This is something that's really important, your voice care, and it has to start with a really good night's sleep the night before. You will not sing your best, you will not think your best if you're tired. And so I want to really remind you how important it is for you to sleep well. I know sleep can be a real challenge for a lot of people, actually. So do what you can to get the best night's sleep, and the best is going to be different for all of us as to how many hours that might look like. Do your best to get a really good night's sleep so that you are, you've got full facility ready to go, vocally and mentally. Stay hydrated throughout the day. Actually, come right back to months before this moment. Start your hydration. Get that systemic hydration up. Remember, we want to be sipping 2 to 3 liters of water all day, every day. So don't, on the day of your gig, just suddenly start, hitting your body with excess amounts of water that it's just going to, get rid of. Make sure your systemic hydration is really in good play in the lead up to the day and the day of. So, on the day of, make sure you get around with your water bottle. Take it everywhere. But you should already be in that habit anyway. Nerves are going to, for many, cause you to want to practice the song. Let's say it's a single song you're going to be doing. Nerves are going to want to make you do it over and over and over again on the day of the gig. Don't do that. Here's the harsh reality. If you don't know the song by the day of the gig, it's too late. And this comes back to, you've got to have that consistent practice and rehearsal, right? You've got to be well prepared. You've got to be ready. And all over practicing will do on the day is tire you out vocally. And so you'll get up and everything will just feel really hard. And you don't want to be in that position. You want to be in a position that says, I'm going to be vocally good to go when I have to step up and actually, run the gold medal race. So don't do that prior. You will need to warm up. Of course you need to warm up. You need to prepare the voice for the task, but that does not mean over practicing. Important. So you want to warm up before going on stage. I would recommend doing probably, let's say, we'll create a scenario. Your gig, your performance is 7 o'clock at night. Let's say it's going to be a performance of 3 songs. And what you want to do is around about 4:30, between 4 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I want you to do a 10-minute vocal warm-up and run your songs, the 3 songs, in the order that you're going to run them, one after the other, and that's it. Then when you get to the gig's at 7 o'clock, which is 2 hours later, what you're going to do, you might do some light humming, some SOVTs, so some lip bubbles. Remembering you've already kind of done your full warm-up. Now we're just pre-prepping the voice, getting some blood flow going, getting it all ready to go, so that when this is in the sort of the 6:40, the 20 minutes prior to actually stepping onto stage, and then be calm, be quiet. Don't find yourself over talking if you can avoid it. Immediately prior to stepping onto stage, and then you'll be ready to go. So you want to hit the ground running, yeah? But the only way to do that is to be fully warmed, but not over practiced. We've got 3 more slides from memory. Oh, it might be 2 more slides. Stick around. We'll all find out. Okay. Engage with your audience. This is the part that you may well walk away and go, oh, next time I want to have more eye contact with my audience. Because it's often in our first performance that this is the real challenging bit. This is the part that's really, really hard to master and takes time and practice. But if you can, in the moment, let's say in that 3-song gig that we're talking about, maybe that first song is the first song where you're like just settling yourself in. Try to remember into the second and the third songs that the audience is there. Try to remember that you are going to gain some contact with them visually through your eyes. Try to remember to contact with them. Use the body language that we talked, yeah? Remember that your audience isn't only watching your face. Predominantly it's your face, but they're also looking at all of you. They're actually looking at all of the stage also. So if you're on stage with a whole with a whole band, then they're watching the band members as well. But they are going to constantly reorientate to you because you're going to be calling their attention by virtue of the fact that you're the one that's doing the singing. So remember, what is your body language? So things like stepping back and finding yourself almost like wanting to become a wallflower on stage and not have anyone look at you. Remember, if you are overtly nervous, it's likely that will make your audience nervous. So we're trying to do things on stage that convey a sense of assuredness, a sense of stability and comfort. You don't have to portray an arrogant confidence, but just a sense of being settled. This is hard to do in your first gig. I can't remember getting this right, but that being said, I never had anyone tell me what to do for my first gig. I was just handed a mic and up you get. And I've been learning these things that we're talking through ever since. Anyway, remember your language, your body language. And respond to audience reactions and energy. Your audience, can I tell you, your audience, they so want you to do well. They really, really, really want you to have a great gig. In part because if you don't, that's awkward for everyone. And no one wants to be awkward. So they are on your side. They are rooting for you. They just want the best for you, in part because they want the best for them. They want to hear a great vocal performance. So when your audience is going to be giving you that energy, so respond to that. Be thankful for that. And right at the end, and this is something that you have to remember to do, because you can find yourself, the moment you step up there, you're starting to sing. For some people, all they now want to do is get off the stage. But remember, your audience is very, very likely to get to the end of said performance and then clap, Oh, I did like a little round clap there. They're going to applaud your performance at the end. When they do that, you need you need to acknowledge that applause. So the moment the music finishes, you stop singing. Don't head for the side stage. Wait, hold, acknowledge the applause, because the applause will come, even if it's only a polite applause. It will come. Acknowledge it, receive the applause, because it's the right thing to do. They've just taken the time to sit through your performance. The least you can do is receive their 10 seconds of applause, and then, if it's appropriate, bow and move off. Try to remember, never treat your audience flippantly. Whatever, just acknowledge it, thank them, receive it. It's really important. It's very good performer etiquette. And I think this is our last slide. What about when we do make mistakes? Because that's going to happen. If you get through your first ever performance mistake-free, wow, that's awesome. I don't think that was my experience. I don't think that's the majority of people's experience, whether it be you drop a lyric, you forget a lyric, you hit a bum note, there's so many different things that can happen that on the surface of it that can be things that go wrong. But all throughout, I want you to maintain your composure. In part because mistakes are not unexpected. Mistakes are expected. They happen. You're a human being, and therefore you are imperfect and you make errors. That's just the way it is. Certainly the way it is for me. So acknowledge those errors by sorry, don't acknowledge them to the audience necessarily, though that can be an effective way to go about it. Acknowledge the errors in anticipation that they're going to happen. So just accept that they're going to be there, and don't let them derail your performance. That's the key point here. When they happen, just let them go. Don't fixate on them. Just notice them, move on to the rest of the performance. This is the harder one. And I went to say it gets easier as time goes on. Does it? I think you get more able to receive constructive criticism. I think you do. But be prepared for people. Sometimes, sometimes it's not well-meaning, but often it is. Often it's really well-meaning. People who want to just say, oh, next time, don't fidget with the side of your dress, or next time try to avoid that nervous little giggle, or whatever. These are often constructive pieces of criticism, but they can be hard to receive. What I want to encourage you to do is don't seek out, and this can be hard. Don't actively seek out constructive criticism for the first 24 hours, or that being said, the day of the performance. Just try to surround yourself in the glow of having done the gig, having done your first public performance. Just try to sit in that, enjoy it, and then tomorrow dissect it. Don't dissect it in the moment. Just allow it to be what it is and what it was on the day. And then tomorrow you can reflect and perhaps watch back those videos that friends have taken on mobile phones and what have you. So just be careful about that criticism. Oh, I hope that was helpful. It's a big thing to do your first gig, and there are so many factors to think through when it comes to doing your first public performance, and hopefully the things we've just gone through will prove beneficial. You're not going to remember to do it all. You're not. So don't hold yourself to that expectation. Just simply try to prepare well, warm up well, sleep well prior. And I always say to my private students, your number one in the context of doing whether it be an audition, a first time sing, your aim is to walk away satisfied that you did do the best you could in that moment. That's your aim. Everything else is up for grabs. Everything else, if you've had a really positive experience, is a bonus. But it goes a long way to helping to manage your expectations around what it will or will not be. We are going to try and get to... do you know what? I think I'm going to have time. Oh, hang on a second. I'm trying to find the right... Here we go. We've got one question, one live question. We've got other questions that we need to get to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here. Oh, come on. Where are you? I'm looking here. This is the question. This is from Prajwal. I sincerely hope I'm saying that correctly. Hey sir, I hit the high notes and now my voice range has decreased. Crispy sound. I can't hit high notes and my neck is paining when I start singing. What can I do, sir? Probably, I'm given to suggesting, first of all, rest, vocal rest, is what I think you probably need to do in the immediate. If after a week or two your voice has not returned to its absolute normal, then I would seek out a laryngologist to, or an ear, nose and throat doctor to examine and diagnose any concerns that may or may not be there. I'm not suggesting for a moment that you have any, pathologies that have developed or anything like that, but that's usually what we want to encourage people to do. If after a couple of weeks your voice is not returned to normal, you've got to get it checked out by a laryngologist. The caveat to that is if there is any blood spotting, when you cough in a moment from a performance, that is likely to be a vocal fold hemorrhage. That is an immediate stop singing, get immediately to a laryngologist. So there are, circumstances where just waiting for the voice to repair is not going to cut it. A vocal fold hemorrhage is one of those. You've got to get straight to getting it seen ASAP. But pretty much everything else, like I'm talking, if you, in your case, Prajwal, I hope I'm saying that correctly, it does just sound like you've overextended yourself and you just need some vocal rest. And that is a complete reduction of, singing and just letting the voice just settle again. It's probably going to take you, a week or so. The one little thing there that I'm concerned about is that your neck is paining. That tells me that suggests to me that there's a lot of stress and strain and muscular tension, which leads me to think that there's a bit of there's a need for some vocal technique to be built in. And if you want to check out the Voice Essentials program, we go into all of that, and I know you'll find that really helpful. We're going to leave it there because I've just looked down at the time and wow. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the mini topics. It's something I decided to do this year, and instead of just straight Q&As all the time, and I'd appreciate your feedback about them. Make sure you hit the thumbs up of the video if you are enjoying them and you're getting something out of it. I know today's topic, there's sort of a subset of our community where it's going to really line up and be of value to them because they've never sung publicly before. They're thinking of doing it. And so I really wanted to speak to that group today and provide that information. So hopefully that's been helpful. And I hope it's been helpful for those of you who who've sort of passed that marker in their vocal journey. But perhaps there's some just little reminders, just for general gigging, like get a good night's sleep, right? You can't underestimate the value of a good night's sleep the night prior to a gig. So little things like that, I hope they were helpful. Next week, we're going to do a Q&A, and I'm very much looking forward to that. So make sure you subscribe, hit the white bell icon so you get the notifications. We do these every Monday, 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. But for now, I've got to finish because I've got to go and teach a student, which I do after every live hangout. I'm very much looking forward to seeing you again in the next Voice Essentials video. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.